so kind of you were saying, hey, if I had just done 2 days a week for whatever time, I'd be at 70%. This person's asking how to optimize training when limited by just 2 to 3 days.
Probably just follow an ABA type workout. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah.
Um, I'd probably
We do upper
just
lower or different full body ABAs.
it could be different full bodies. It could be upper lower. It probably has to be one of those two.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, what's legally a full body is kind of debatable. Like right now,
Yeah, yeah.
before my lower body days, I throw in arms. So it's technically a full body if you ask
Yeah.
some people, right? So yeah, I'd say, an ABA where it just kind of cycles, and I'd probably stick with like the minimum effective dose as well when it comes to volumetrics. I'd probably focus a little bit more on exercise variety just to make sure, you get to everything and you're not trying to grow, say, side delts from your pressing or your pulling. And then I'd use a lot of for isolation work, a lot of like myo rep type work.
Hmm. Yep.
Also antagonist pairing, like super, super helpful and time
Yeah.
efficient. Um, and then finally, I think there is, and this is something kind of inspired by Eric. Um, that there is such thing as like bodybuilder shape, like where I don't know if you actually get much benefit once you are in bodybuilder shape to like waiting around like 3 to 5 minutes in between sets. Like you can train those energy systems to just come back quicker.
Oh, yeah.
So I think a lot of people, they don't realize that. But you eventually over time you might realize that, hey, spending on a minute in between or a minute and a half maybe between your sets and pressing just doesn't really create that big of a difference in performance drop off. So
Right, right, right.
something, yeah, I see more than I used to see because back in the day, for muscle growth, 30 to 60 seconds was kind of what they would recommend.
Yeah.
And I think people have gone really far into like the other side now, where sometimes people just sit around for 3 to 5 minutes in between
Yeah.
sets, and I'm like, I don't know if that's necessary.
Yeah, we had a similar question on the last podcast, and I'll just kind of reiterate what I said there. But regarding the rest time specifically, I almost exclusively do antagonistic pairings. So I do an upper lower split, big advocate for upper lower, and so everything is paired. And I might do 2 minutes between sets, but then ultimately that's still like 5 minutes between sets of the same muscle group. So you're getting more than enough rest. But I did a body part split maybe 2 years ago for a week. And after 1 week, I was like, dude, this is so painfully slow. Like it was literally like just chest, just back, and for me at least, I was just sitting around and I just did not like it. So I really like the back and forth. And this person didn't mention a time limit. They really just said 2 to 3 days. And that's obviously a big factor because,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2 days at 45 minutes is dramatically different than 3 days at 90 minutes. If you're doing three 90-minute workouts, you can get everything you need in. And I'm also a big fan of my reps. I've done a lot of rest pause training in my life, but more so like DC style, which
Hmm.
is really, they say 15 to 20 breaths, which is almost like 45 seconds. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah. My rep is more like, five big breaths. I've been doing my reps for the last 12 weeks and I really like them. I think they'll probably be something I continue to keep in. You can get sufficient volume. It feels better to me than drop sets. I did drop sets for the prior 12 weeks. It was fine. It was like, I was doing them on leg extension and leg curls. And it was just this 5 minute all out. Like I just had to like blast music. Like there's just no break at all. To me, the Myo reps are a really nice blend of like you're getting in a lot of volume, but you can just take a little break again, 5 seconds or five big breaths, which is maybe 15 seconds. To me, it just very much fits my preferences. So I really like them.
Yeah, with the DC, I think a lot of that was geared towards really big IFBB pros or IFBB pro hopefuls.
Hmm.
So I can see how they would need a little bit more time in between sets because
Yeah.
it's these massive systems. But yeah, Myo reps it's been perfect. And like how much volume is it? I think that bothers a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, it's just like, look, if it's working, like it's working. And what I use to measure that, because all my isolation work is basically myo reps at this point.
Is it okay?
That first set is obviously great stimulus, but it's also the proxy as to like whether or not I'm improving.
Exactly. That's what I go at too. Yeah, that first set is really like where I'm looking for the progress. Although I still, and maybe we would disagree here. I sometimes will still reserve a little bit to get the most net volume.
Mm,
Not to a level where I'm like 5 RIR on that first set so I can get more.
yeah.
But if it's like, hey, maybe that keeping it 1 RIR on that first one allows me to net another 2 or 3 reps over the entire, 5 sets of myo reps, then yeah, I'll do that. It's usually not like all out face about to explode on that first set for me at least.
I do it similar, I'd say, but also taking the many weeks that are coming ahead into consideration too,
Mm,
because I can blast myself on this preacher curl right now, but if I maybe matched the reps as last week, but the RPE was a bit lower, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna leave it there so that
yes,
I
yeah.
don't run into a wall, next week, and I'm just stuck in mud for the next month. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, very
totally.
similar to you.
Yeah, and that's an interesting way to think about it because I think most of us are familiar with the idea of on a individual workout, maybe we're saving a little bit on that first one so the later ones are okay. I too will do that if I'm in a dieting phase and I'm like, I could push this, but I'm not going to be able to match that next week when I'm even
Yeah,
more dieted. So
yeah,
let's
yeah.
keep it as is. I'm happy to have maintained the strength, and then I'm a little bit easier there.